to terrorism.
Terrorists.
Terrorism.
Acts of terrorism.
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 How do you expect to stop terrorism?
What is terrorism?
Terrorism is defined as the unlawful use of violence and intimidation in the pursuit of political aims. Its impact and remnants are something that can linger for years after. Terrorism can come in many different forms. However, the topic we're looking into specifically is religious extremism. Extremism stems from the belief of us or them. In other words, anything that doesn't coincide with one's individual beliefs is wrong. To fully understand something, you need to know what it looks like. Through this, the topics of the Crusades, the 30 Years' War, and the attacks of 9/11 and the lingering effects of religious extremism will be explored.
The Crusades took place between the years 1095 and 1492 AD. European Christians wanted to spread their religion because it was in decline. Around 2/3 of the ancient Christian world had already been conquered, and the Crusades happened in hopes to reduce that number. The leaders of the Crusades not only hoped to spread their religion, but also claim the Holy Land for themselves. They eventually failed in conquering the Holy Land in 1291 AD, when the Muslims reclaimed it. Christians thought that by starting the Crusades, they were going to be expiated for their sins, and that God would have wanted them to spread the religion.
The 30 Years' War was a war fought between the Catholics and the Protestants in the years 1618 to 1648. The Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire, Ferdinand II, forced the people to follow the Roman Catholic religion. The Bohemian nobility rejected this by throwing his representatives out the window of the Prague castle. The Bohemian nobility formed alliances with the Protestant Union states located in what is now Germany. Finally, everyone signed a group of treaties called the Peace of Westphalia. Emperor Ferdinand II wanted to spread Christian faith, which in return caused the 30 Years' War.
The 9/11 attacks, which took place on September 11, 2001, devastated the United States and changed the world as we knew it. 19 hijackers from the terrorist group Al-Qaeda boarded 4 planes from Boston. The hijackers took over the cockpit of the plane and drove the first plane straight into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. 18 minutes after the first plane hit the first tower, a second plane crashed into the South Tower. Later, a third plane crashed into the Pentagon right outside of D.C. Finally, the fourth plane crashed into a field in Pennsylvania, which was thought to be headed for the White House. Al-Qaeda did this in the name of Allah because they believed he told them to. These attacks unified the country and changed the lives of its people forever.
We have seen how the acts of terrorism and religious extremism have occurred throughout our history, but what does this tell us? It starts off with discrimination against a religion. From that, the oppressed act out, creating conflict and tension between the two groups. As you have seen in these 3 occasions of terrorism or religious extremism, it can cause war. These events all started with a leader or group that wanted to spread their religion in a way that would be heard or seen by many people around the world. They believed that their God wanted them to commit these acts of violence. The history of terrorism and religious extremism has repeated itself throughout time, and it is shown through the Crusades, the 30 Years' War, and the recent acts of 9/11. Even today, we are experiencing acts of religious extremism. With new acts of violence to spread a religion occurring today, there is bound to be another act of religious extremism. Seeing the recent events of religious extremism have made people wonder about the future of the world. Groups like ISIS and the people that follow its beliefs have already attacked people that don't believe in their version of Muslim faith. Already, some groups of people have attacked innocent Muslim people, seen in the recent New Zealand tragedy. Some may predict that there will soon be a war that will break out between the Islamic and Christian faith. Only time will tell what will happen to the world, but we know now that history is bound to repeat itself.